Okay, so let's just repeat what we just said for the benefit of the people at home. No, let's not do that. That was just a joke to test the room. Now I know what I'm in for. So tonight I've got a fair bit to get through. Interaction and motion capture is the topic. I might not get through all the slides that I have, but if not, I'll do a short video and put it online. What I would like to get through is motion capture history and techniques. So as you should be aware, we're taking a break from the textbook this week and we're jumping ahead and using the Microsoft Kinect camera, and in the lecture I'll be demoing that, and I'll also be just talking generally about gestural interaction and various strategies there are around that, various technologies you can use to capture the user's gesture, and some suggestions for what strategies might be effective or might not be effective. So a bit of history. As you would probably know, computers started back in the Dark Ages, and the input between the human and the person using the computer was kind of via patch cables initially, where people would basically unplug wires and plug other wires in to connect different parts of the computer together. And that was essentially how you programmed a computer, was by hooking different patch cords up to different sockets on the computer. So the first computer programmers were people that plugged cords in and out. Oh, great. Thanks for rebooting right now. And since then, the quest has been on to get more natural kinds of interaction happening with the computer. So we progressed from plugging patch cables in to punch cards, to teletype keyboards, and then eventually to the mouse, to the touchpad, and to various other kinds of devices. And the trend is, the arc has always been getting towards more natural interaction and more embodied interaction that gets a much more intuitive and full immersive experience for the user, I guess. So if you think about it, using a keyboard, you're really only using the tips of your fingers, and the communication between the emotional communication that's happening between your body and the computer is not very not very rich. It's just pushing buttons. When you use a mouse or a touchpad, you've got a much more nuanced and gestural interaction going on there. So that's a step in the right direction, but it's only through one finger or maybe through moving your hand around. So the vision has always been to move towards something more rich, that's using more of the human body to interact with the computer. So I don't know, does anyone know what this is? This thing at the top here?
Mouse.
Yes. Do you know what mouse in particular? Apple. No, not Apple. A good guess.
The first one?
The very first mouse. Yep, made by Douglas Engelbart, who presented it at this thing called the mother of all demos. Well, what's retrospectively called the mother of all demos in 1967, I think it was, or 68, where he presented basically the mouse, the first mouse, hypertext, video conferencing, word processing, and a bunch of other things. He demoed them live in this sort of 1.5 hour event in 1967 before any of this stuff had really been dreamt of by most people. So if you, I've got the links in the slides. If you want to check it out, there's a video that shows the whole thing. I suggest you check it out. It's really like a landmark moment in history in a way. But yeah, he came up with the first mouse, and that's it. And in principle, it hasn't really changed, actually. It's still just something that senses movement in sort of a plane. So you get X and Y coordinates out of it, and it feeds into the computer, and the movement of that mouse reflects the movement of the cursor on the screen. Talking about musical instruments, anyone know what that is? The theremin, yep. So the theremin's a musical instrument. You're not seriously going to restart, are you, Apple? Can I do anything to stop you? Let's just see what happens. We might have to wait for a rebooting break. So the theremin was a gestural instrument, analog, and basically you could control the pitch of a note that was played by moving your hand up and down, and you could control the volume, I think, by moving your other hand inwards and outwards. And that was it. And it played music like basically it played a sine wave pitched note. And even though it was an extremely limited instrument in a lot of ways, people actually became virtuosos on this thing. So there was a lady called Clara Rockmore who became a theremin virtuoso, and she made recordings of famous pieces and so on, all playing the theremin. So again, another name worth typing into Google and checking out some videos if you're interested. It's amazing what she really was a virtuoso in every sense of the word on that instrument. Okay, and you can see there's other well-known interface devices here that I'm maybe not going to go into in great depth. Joysticks, there's the Wiimote that many of you have probably played with, which again was a step towards sort of full body interaction, this time tracking the movement of two hands in three dimensions. And there's another interface here called the Buchla Thunder, which was a music controller. Again, that's sort of a touch interface, and this is the lemur. So the lemur was a very early. It's amazing how often music drives the development of new interfaces. So the lemur was a touch screen, a multi-touch input screen, well before the iPad